Ladies and gentlemen, we will now see the signing ceremony of the agreement between the Federal Republic of Germany and the Government of the Republic of Kenya about a comprehensive mobility and migration agreement. For the Federal Government of Germany, the State Minister of the Foreign Office, Katja Keul, the Federal Minister of the Interior and Home Affairs, Nancy Faeser, will sign. For the Republic of Kenya, the Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, His Excellency Dr. Musalia Mudavadi.
The signing of the agreement between the government of the Federal Republic of Germany and the government of the Republic of Kenya on a comprehensive migration and mobility partnership. The signatories are, for the Federal Republic of Germany, State Minister of the Federal Foreign Office, Ms. Katja Keul, Federal Minister of the Interior and Community, Ms. Nancy Faeser. For the Republic of Kenya, Prime Cabinet Secretary of the Republic of Kenya and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, His Excellency Dr. Musalia Mudavadi. Dankeschön. Thank you.
Sehr geehrter Herr Staatspräsident. President William, a warm welcome to Berlin, to what is already a third visit to our capital city. I have very fond memories of my visit to Kenya last year. In Nairobi, we celebrated 60 years of diplomatic relations between Germany and Kenya during my visit. Our federal president is honoring these good relations between our two countries too. On the invitation of Frank-Walter Steinmeier, Kenya is this year's partner country for the Citizens Festival. For the first time ever, a country outside Europe is acknowledged in this way. And a Citizens Festival is the perfect setting because our relations are fostered first and foremost between the links between the people of our two countries. Kenya is a solid democracy with a very active civil society that has repeatedly reached out to and been in touch with German institutions. Some developments in Africa, especially in the Sahel region, are a reason for concern because governments there are often toppled by the use of force. At the same time, we're, however, also witnessing how more and more Africans are standing up for more political and social participation. And if this is possible peacefully and freely, it is an expression of a vibrant democracy. Surveys show it very clearly, and that's important to acknowledge. The overwhelming majority of Africans believe that democracy is the best form of government. The links between our two countries are very good. Kenya and Germany have been working together in many areas, and we are expanding this cooperation continuously. This year we are treading new ground with additional cooperative projects. I am delighted that we are intensively cooperating on green hydrogen, a true technology of the future. Another important joint ambition for both of us is cooperating more closely in the area of migration. As we have seen right now, the Federal Minister of the Interior, Nancy Faeser, State Minister Katja Koil, and Foreign Minister Mudavadi have signed an agreement on this topic of a mobility partnership, and I think that is a very important agreement. It offers new prospects for Kenyan men and women because skilled workers and young trainees can come to Germany. It can help us to bridge the severe shortage of skilled labor, and the first impacts, of course, are already being felt. And we see that there is this shortage that we need to address. At the same time, this agreement also addresses the other side of the coin, that is, effective repatriation procedures for those who have come from Kenya but have no right to stay in Germany. It is now easier for them to return to their home country. In the economic area, we're also making progress. The European Union, that is competent for this issue, and Kenya have concluded a partnership agreement. This way, companies from Kenya get better access to the European market and are integrated into fair and sustainable supply chains. Kenya is also benefiting from this as one of the biggest economies in sub-Saharan Africa and a pioneer in digitalization. And for German companies who are already very present in the region, Kenya is becoming an ever more attractive partner. One question that is especially relevant for the future is where Kenya is a true leader already. More than 90% of its electricity is generated from renewable energy sources. This makes Kenya a climate champion. During my visit last year, I was able to visit a very impressive geothermal power plant. For its future development, Kenya will need much more electricity, and the country stands firm on the path it has chosen. It counts on non-fossil fuels. And with the Climate and Development Partnership that we have concluded in 2022, we are supporting them on that path. Kenya's strong commitment to climate action is an inspiration for other countries as well, and that is important for the upcoming COP in Baku. Kenya also assumes a very important role in stabilizing the Horn of Africa. Kenya is engaging in many ways to address crises in the region and overcome these crises. One example is the most recent initiative for dialogue in South Sudan. And it is obvious African-led initiatives for peace and stability in Africa will become even more relevant in the future. And it's also obvious that Africa needs to be represented more strongly in international institutions. An important step in this direction was, and I was delighted to see that the African Union has become a member of the G20. Germany was very happy to support that decision. I'm also delighted to see that Kenya is interested in joining the G20 compact with Africa and developing it further. This is a good decision, and we are very happy to provide practical cooperation and intensifying it.
Enjoy the breakfast of our President. Welcome to Germany.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Chancellor Scholz, for the hospitality extended to my delegation and for the invitation, being the first ever for a non-European country to participate and to be the partner country in this year's Citizens Festival here in Berlin. Kenya and Germany have a long history of shared values, As you have said correctly, Kenya and Germany share the values of freedom, democracy, and rule of law, values that we cherish, values that we hold in very high esteem, and values that we live by. Our history is contextualized from the very early years, even before our independence, when Dr. Kraft and Redman, German missionaries, came to our country, and with them brought the first strands of relationship between Kenya. We have established bilateral relations between our two countries, diplomatic relations that have flourished, and today we stand on a very solid foundation of firm, cordial, beneficial relations between our two countries. I want to thank you specifically for finding time to visit our country last year, subsequent to which some of the agreements that you and me agreed on, today we celebrate the signing of this comprehensive migration and labor mobility partnership agreement that will provide a context for expanding the relationship between our two countries, the people-to-people relationship, and for giving us an opportunity to unlock the potential in technology in Germany and human capital in Kenya, where we have a big youth bulge, educated, innovative, hardworking young people who, working in collaboration with Germany, we can combine the innovation, creativity, energy, talent, knowledge of our young people with German investment, technology, and resources, and provide for a win-win outcome. I'm very excited that we have today signed off this agreement that will give an opportunity for Kenyan young people and Kenyan people to work in Germany, and with it, as you have said, Chancellor, provides also an opportunity for those who will have finished their duty or who don't have to be in Germany, for them to find their way back at home. I want to assure the people of this country, of this great country, that Kenya is a very beautiful country, and therefore no Kenyan will have any problem coming back home, because indeed we have a great country. So all we will be looking at is how we can share the resources that we have with you, and how it can be mutually beneficial for both the German economy and the Kenyan economy, and the German people and the Kenyan people. Your Excellency, let me also say that it was my pleasure when I came here to join the Compact with Africa that now provides for us an opportunity for investment, for trade, and for business between our two countries in the context of elevating our cooperation to real opportunities, projects, and programs that we have agreed today to set up a mechanism for a bilateral strategic framework that will give us an opportunity to unlock the potential that exists between our trade, investment, and business sectors. Let me also say that in that context, we will be having the Business Summit in Nairobi in December that will bring our business communities together to look into the opportunities that exist, eliminate the barriers that impede, and create better bridges for German companies and Kenyan entrepreneurs to be able to partner and expand our trade, our investment, and our business opportunities. Let me also commend Germany for their belief in Kenya and their belief in our continent. You supported the participation of Africa in the G20. I have just briefed Chancellor Scholz that we are undertaking a comprehensive reform of the institution of the Africa Union so that we can make it much more fit for purpose, and we can align it with the requirements and the dictates of this century so that the African Union can represent Africa much more effectively, can provide a mechanism for the world to help us support and intervene in situations of instability in our continent, but also provide a framework for the huge opportunities that exist in Africa, from renewable energy to natural mineral resources to our huge human capital resources and to the 1.4 billion African market for us to be able to do business together. I have briefed my good brother, Chancellor Scholz, that Africa is ready, Kenya is available for us to work together to forge a better world. Our participation in this year's Citizen Festival is a testimony that Kenya and Germany are great friends. Germany became the first country to recognize Kenya's independence. Today, again, Germany has invited Kenya as the first non-European country to participate in your Citizens Festival. It speaks volumes of the firm foundation between our two countries and the friendly relations between the people of Kenya and the people of Germany. Let me underscore that as Kenya, there couldn't have been a better destination for German investment and German business and German trade than Kenya. And I will give you only 3 reasons why. We have some of the best human capital resource anywhere in the world. And German companies, numbering about 120 in Kenya, will speak for us. Number 2, we have established a business framework, an investment framework, a trade framework with our special economic zones, export processing zones, to make sure that we create the necessary environment to encourage business, investment, and trade. And also, as you all know, 93% of our grid is renewable energy. If you're looking for a destination to decarbonize some of your industrialization, the destination is Kenya. We intend to make our grid 100% green by 2030. And we will be partnering with Germany as you establish the hydrogen facility and office in Nairobi for us to use German technology, German expertise to unlock our renewable energy resources that would help us produce fertilizer and other green products, including iron and steel. And I want to invite Germany to join the Africa Green Industrialization Initiative that brings together now 11 countries in Africa for us to combine the available resources, opportunities in Europe with the resources available in Africa. So I want to appreciate this moment and look forward to the Citizens Festival later. Thank you very much.
I have a question addressed to both of you, the Federal Chancellor and President Ruto. The U.S. administration has proposed that the United Nations Security Council is enlarged by 2 permanent members from Africa. Federal Chancellor, I would like to hear from you whether you support that and whether both of you, also President Ruto, could make a suggestion which African country should have these seats, and will this also be a topic to be addressed at the Summit of the Future in New York? And Federal Chancellor, 2 ships of the German Navy have crossed the Strait of Taiwan. Are you afraid of harmed relations with China? Will you reach out to China to address that issue? Thank you very much for these many questions. I am happy to say that it is important to us to make sure that the African countries play a more prominent role in the United Nations Security Council, and this corresponds to what we have said and done in the G20 with and also with the Compact of the Future, where we work together with Namibia as co-chairs, and we are working together with the United Nations here as well, and we will also address a stronger representation of Africa. We need a reform of the United Nations Security Council. We also have our own expectations. We are working together closely with many other countries. We have ideas about stronger representation at the United Nations Security Council. Africa plays a role here, of course, and it remains an important topic also with regard to the meeting you addressed and the decisions that lie ahead of us. Otherwise, concerning the passage of ships, there is not much to say. It is an international maritime passage.
It has always been the position of Africa that the UN Security Council be democratized. An organization that speaks for democracy, that speaks for representation, cannot continue to be in its current form, where a continent of 1.4 billion people has no voice and cannot be seen. It has been our position as Africa that the representation of Africa in the UN Security Council is an overdue attempt. It was a conversation that I had with President Biden when I had a state visit to the United States, and I am immensely grateful that the US has now proposed 2 Security Council seats for Africa. I know you've asked me which countries will be sitting. It's going to be a decision for us. When the 2 seats become available, we will have a conversation as a continent as to how we want to be represented. I want to thank Chancellor Scholz for his support for representation of Africa in the most important global institution, the United Nations Security Council. It is untenable to continue the United Nations Security Council in its current form, and therefore it's a welcome development, and I want to ask the rest of the United Nations Security Council members to support the proposition that has been made.
Herr Bundeskanzler, wenn Sie gestatten.
Federal Chancellor, if I may, a question about a person that has been detained in Bavaria, an Islamist, as is believed. How do you assess this detention and this successful work of security authorities that seemingly have prevented a major crime from happening? First of all, I would like to highlight what you said. The security authorities are doing an excellent job here in Germany. It is our common task to make sure that our citizens are safe with all the means we have, and part of this is also successes in investigations. Of course, the nature of such investigations means that I cannot go into detail at this point in time, so this will come at a later stage.
Vielen Dank, Herr Präsident.
Thank you, President Ruto. One focus of the migration agreement that had just been signed is skilled labor, winning skilled labor from Kenya for the German labor market. I would be interested to hear from you what the main professions for such jobs will be and which industries will be most affected, and whether you're entirely positive about this agreement or whether you fear problems for your own labor market. And Federal Chancellor, we also have a domestic policy debate about better management of migration. On Wednesday in the Bundestag, you have said to be open to engage in further talks with the opposition. Will you also reach out, as your finance minister has suggested, where you will bring together Mr. Habeck, Mr. Lindner, Mr. Merz? And one question about foreign policy that is a very topical one. Tonight, the US President and the British Prime Minister will meet in Washington and discuss whether they will allow the use of long-range weapons on Russian territory. The Russian president has already said this would mean a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. How do you assess the situation? What is your position? This is exactly what you wanted to avoid in the past. Would you support such a use of weapons, or do you have a critical view about this?
Please.
Okay. Thank you very much. The agreement we've signed today, we've witnessed the signing today, is a very important agreement. We've negotiated this agreement over the last 1 year. All factors necessary for ensuring that this agreement benefits Kenya as much as it does Germany have been taken into account. It covers an array of areas. It is not limited to any particular area. All skills that are developed in our technical vocational institutions, which, by the way, mirrors to a great extent the technical education here in Germany. And part of the agreement that we have made in this partnership is to twin and to provide mechanisms for ensuring that qualifications from institutions in Kenya mirror qualifications in institutions in Germany, so that there is ease of transfer of skills and labor into the job market. Let me also underscore that as part of this package, we will explore opportunities of the German language also being expanded in reach in Kenya to provide for ease of communication as we build this ecosystem of relationship and partnership. And finally, as to whether this will affect our industrialization agenda in Kenya, I want to assure you that we have skills, we have developed a huge human capital. As you may be aware, Kenya is a young country. I think our median age is 19 and a half, maybe 20. So we have a huge bulge of young people. If I give you an example, yesterday we advertised for some opportunities in Kenya. We require 20,000 people, 140,000 people applied. So that tells you we have a huge young population that not only can satisfy our industrialization agenda in Kenya, but can be made available to industrialization here in Germany. And therefore, there is no risk whatsoever as to the migration of labor into Germany undermining our own industrialization and progress. In fact, it will provide an avenue for us to tap into the skills in this country, the technology in this country, and create a better people-to-people relationship.
Let me highlight this again. Kenya has a very well-trained young population with many professional qualifications. And this young population is looking for opportunities to use the potential, and this will not be possible in Kenya alone, as your example shows. And this is why it is in the interest of both our countries to have part of this young population and giving them the opportunity to bring their talent to bear in Germany. And let me mention one issue, one example here of I would like to point out, because it might influence your view on the world. There are so many well-trained IT experts in Kenya. It is a country that has excellent young men and women who have also gathered a lot of professional expertise already. And from my talks with American IT tech company leaders, I know that advances American companies have made already would have been impossible without Kenyan experts. So there is a lot of manpower that has fed into these AI developments. And this means there is a very promising project that we have embarked on regarding the question of discussions about the big challenges we are facing with regard to irregular migration, I would like to highlight once again what I have said at the German Parliament. Germany needs skilled workers from Europe and many other places in the world who will work here. And we have succeeded in that over recent years, and that is the reason why we have such a solid economy right now. In the last 10 to 20 years alone, more than 6 million additional workers have emigrated to Germany, have taken up a job here. Otherwise, we would find ourselves in a very much worse situation. And we know that the countries of the North, the countries of Europe, North America, and many others, highly industrialized, economically successful nations, are faced with projections that their working population will massively decrease. There will be some of our neighboring countries fearing that in the next 20 to 30 years, half of their workforce right now will no longer be in the workforce in 20 to 30 years. And among non-English speaking countries, Germany is probably the country that has the opportunity to evade that trap and has the opportunity to grow in the future as well and to be successful economically. And this is what it is about when we engage in such partnerships and when we agree such partnerships with countries that have a lot of young people who are interested in taking up a job in our country and where it benefits both countries, the citizens in Germany and in Kenya. And we will continue to do that in the future. I am really committed to doing that. And this is why I offer what I also have said at the German Bundestag, the German Parliament. The basis of our economic well-being is our openness to the world. That is true for the goods that we are exporting to all over the world. It is true for the goods that we are importing from all over the world. It is true for direct investment that Germany is doing across the globe, and companies that invest in so many other countries in the world. It is part of the strength of our economy. But it is also true for the question of whether we have enough people in our workforce to keep up, to maintain our prosperity. And we need to defend this openness to the world by, at the same time, reducing irregular migration. This is something that we are doing. So openness to the world is important, openness to skilled labor immigration, openness to those who are politically persecuted, that they find shelter here in Germany, and at the same time a clear reduction of irregular migration and better border management. On the other hand, what we have signed today guarantees the citizens of our countries that by using this openness, we can conclude agreements that also help us with returning people when this becomes necessary. What concerns cooperation with the opposition, I was delighted about the offer that the opposition leader had made. A while ago, we had 2 meetings. The opposition has then left again, but nevertheless, what we have envisaged, the security package, the common European asylum system, these are projects that we pursue, continue to pursue, and all the other things that we have announced when it comes to more effective denials of entries that are, of course, in line with European law. And I said at the Bundestag that the door remains open. And may I add another sentence? Legendary social democrat Herbert Wehner once said, somebody who left also has to come back in again. Germany has taken a clear decision what we are doing or what we're not doing, and this decision will remain in place. And I ask you for your understanding that I will not comment on conversations of heads of state and government that have not yet even taken place. It would very impolite when it comes to diplomatic relations that we have. Thank you very much.
2 things. I'm very happy that in Germany, I've just heard that you are having a conversation with the opposition. We also have continuous engagement with the opposition. So there is every merit in discussing things across the aisle, especially when the interests of a nation are being pursued. But let me say two things, Chancellor. That if there is an opportunity for me to come and speak to your parliament, I would really want to come and speak to them, to persuade them that what we are doing is right. And let me say the following, that we are happy to export Kenyan talent, expertise, young people, their innovation and creativity to support German industrialization. That's a good way to cooperate. But there is a better way. There is also the opportunity that we can transfer some of your big industries to Kenya so that we don't have to export people here. If there exists an opportunity for us to take Bavaria, and I will be discussing later with Mercedes-Benz, if we can take them to Kenya, you will benefit from the labor, we will give you green energy, and we can have a better cooperation. So there is opportunity both ways. We are happy with this agreement that gives us an opportunity to use our human capital talent to support your industries. We would be happier if Parliament can allow some of the industries to come to Kenya so that we don't have to export the people. But I think this framework gives us an opportunity to avoid illegal migrants, because illegal migrants pose a problem both to us and to Germany. That's why this framework gives us a good way forward.